Shalom, this is Joel Blackford with Beth Hesed Sabbath Fellowship. We're virtual only, based out of St. Paul, Minnesota. The phone number works if you'd like to contact us. We do the thought behind the thought, the philosophy of eschatology, what you need to know, your reality, our existence. Oh my, what's coming up? We solve little pieces of revelation, like today is going to be the workflow of the catastrophes, okay? So it's Earth's catastrophic workflow to the pole flip. There's going to be some seventh seal stuff in there, so you'll get some revelation in there, trust me. Cosmic collapses, they're everywhere. So let's run through it. This is from Open-Minded Approach. I like the guy. The sun is entering a grand solar minimum soon, and the geomagnetic excursion with the weakening Earth's magnetic field has increased cosmic radiation, and it's coming. Yep, the elite know this. Yep, they're building bunkers, and they're preparing. The collapse of ocean currents, droughts, intense cooling on the northern hemisphere is described in the leaked Pentagon report from 2003. The grand solar minima or devastating to civilizations, possibly 90% die. Okay, so we've seen these plagues before. So I'm blanking on the name of the scientist that he cited there, but basically this is coming, and that's from January 21st of 2026. What I'm going to be citing today, which is significant, people, the annual and the Chandler wobbles are 98.3% collapsed. The AMOC, which is the Atlantic Meridian Overturning Current, is either reversing or collapsing, but I'll show that. Okay, the magnetosphere is 27 to 55% collapsed. The poles are wobbling in increasing levels, horrible wobbles, and they're going to get much worse. The wobbles from the annual and the Chandler wobbles are the reason why the poles are wobbling. The collapse of those are causing our magnetic poles to move. The galactic magnetic current sheet should arrive at some point in time. You'll start to notice it. The jet stream and the winds will collapse. It's biblical. I'll show you. There is a seventh seal silence. All seals are silent, too. Keep that in mind. They're like birth pangs, unless your wife tells you that she has a birth pang. There's solar forcing coming, but really, you'll see during the trumpets, extreme cold from space debris and other things like that. Then the bowls, extreme heat from the sun. It'll reverse. The fourth bowl is a full micronova. You need energy to gestate that kind of an activity, so it's going to take some time. The seventh bowl will be the pole flip in one day. That seems to be biblical. We're going to try to give it to you that way. The pole flip will occur. We are setting up for it based on all of these collapses. So we'll give you the Bible, give you the prophecy, and give you the news, and talk about the philosophy of it. So this is not talking about the jet streams collapsing, but it's like that in terms of the Gulf Stream could collapse as early as 2025, and it has, okay? And so this is from 2023, people, The Guardian. And so they know that it's headed for a collapse, and it now has, okay? And so that's the AMOC, that's the Atlantic Meridian, that's what drives all the heat up to Europe, okay? But the southern is also collapsing too. So the jet stream is the core of strong winds that blow from west to east. Okay, that is going to break down too, okay? And the jet stream's wind speeds are greatest where temperature differences between the air masses are greatest. For some odd reason, that's going to break down. It's biblical. I'll show it to you in just a couple of slides here. And so the jet streams matters. The jet stream's course has become an important part of weather forecasting. Okay, here is the problem. As we move into Revelation 7, 1 through 3, after this I saw four angels standing at the four corners of the earth, holding back the four winds of the earth, so that no wind would blow. So basically, according to the physics of this, that has to be a total collapse of all these systems that I've been describing on the land, on the sea, or any tree. I saw another angel coming up from the east with a seal from the living God, and he shouted to the four angels who had been given power to harm the land and sea, "Do not harm the land or the sea or the trees until we have sealed the servants of our God on their foreheads." Revelation 7, 1 through 3. Then you move into chapter 8, eventually after they've all been sealed, the 144,000, and probably others too. But first, the 144,000. When the Lamb broke the seventh seal, that's all unsealed then. All seven seals are unsealed, okay? And that seems to be a time date stamp. There was silence in heaven for what seemed like a half an hour. That sounds like Yom Kippur. When you really dig into Revelation 8, It sounds like Yom Kippur. Then I saw the 7 angels who stand before God, and they were given 7 shofars. So they go out and blast them, and these horrible disasters come, and I'll describe that more. But there is this time of silence. And it's also a wind silence, too. Okay, so prerequisites for the tribulation starting, you need all 4 horsemen riding. You need increased martyrdom. That's the 5th seal. You need the solar micronova. That's the 6th seal. You need the 7th seal to open. I think it's Yom Kippur based. You can argue with me. You need silence. We're exhausted from fasting, and yeah, that's what happens when we're on Yom Kippur. There is silence at the end because we're hungry, okay, and we're thirsty. And so, but the Kohen Hagadol, the top Kohen, works alone silently. It's a very silent process, okay, during Yom Kippur. Rabbah, great incense, is cited in many of the texts, okay? And that's also in Revelation 8. Transporting the incense is associated with Yom Kippur. Prayers are mixed with incense on Yom Kippur. It sounds like the 7th seal, okay? What you should see then is unnatural winds increase for a period of time, then cease at that moment. The 144,000s are sealed, and I believe that others will be sealed too in some ways. Maybe not the same way, but there will be a sealing process because that's Revelation 9:4. You have to be sealed by Revelation 9:4, or these horrible monsters will just sting you and hurt you. The jet streams, the different currents, the wobbles will all cease. We're seeing that. God is setting those things up. Silence in heaven and earth, incense service in heaven, smell of incense on the earth. Yeah, you'll smell it, people. Peals of thunder, voices, flashes of lightning, and earthquakes. You'll hear this. And then the first shofar blast heard on earth. Okay. What you need to realize is that there are different things going on during the 7 trumpets. The first part of it, the first 4, are really large space debris causing Earth's cooling, okay? And so you'll get gradually larger debris coming in, either asteroids or meteorites or whatever it happens to be, okay? And then you're also going to have other problem, but you'll just notice that the temperatures will decrease drastically over the first 4. Then you're going to go through a time frame coming up to the midpoint where we're setting up for the great showdown between God and the bad guys. So go to Ephesians 6, 12, and 13 and look for these cosmocratorus in the Greek, okay? Or archaeus, or archos, or the exousias. They're there, they're listed. Even my scholars don't know what those guys are, but they're heavenly beings, heavenly whatever they are, and they fell. And God has to judge them. So they will be exposed during that mid-break there, the midpoint, in the 5th and the 6th and the 7th trumpets, shofars. Okay? And so just get ready for debris. But at first here, it's man's environment plagued. I realize he misspelled that, but that's fine. Man's person plagued. Yes, okay, yeah. But it is really setting up for the great showdown then during those last 3 woes. Okay, it's woes against the fallen angels, we'll call them. But there are other types. So there are other things going on. I'm not going to read the AGU side on the left-hand side, but it is current. I mean, it's January 13th of 2026. I'll read what Ben Davidson said about it. Top science news today breaks down and confirms how the collapsing of the, I can't read that. It's underneath my timer. And Cold Bomb, the movie The Day After Tomorrow. Yes, that was extreme because it was Hollywood, but it's real science. And here's about the 100th paper saying so. But this one does one of the best jobs of breaking down how it plays out with the heat transport currents. That's the worst part of climatology these days. Not actually that they blame the wrong things, but the finish line is a bit frosty. Our findings highlight an accelerated reduction in oceanic heat transport to the high latitude North Atlantic, with potential far-reaching consequences for global weather and climate. So it's collapsing constantly. And this is, this is a respected report from AGU stating that there's shoaling occurring, which is kind of, bunching together and on our meridional overturn currents and its impact on heat transport. So we know everything's shutting down, okay? And so this is from David Stern. I love it. And so I'll just read it to you again. I'm reading a lot of things this time. But then I will cite then on the bottom how you'll see plagues. Then there will be a little break in timing. Then you're setting up for the great showdown. Then this break again. Then plagues just come in, and the bowls are just boom, boom, boom. Okay, so the first 4 shofar judgments affect nature directly and people indirectly. Okay, and resemble the plagues of Egypt. And he's right. He's absolutely right. The last 3 plagues affect people directly, and he's correct. And he's comparing that to Matthew, and I like how he's doing that. The idea of the end-time plagues will recapitulate those of Egypt can be found in the Midrash Rabbah. Behold, tomorrow about this time I will cause it to rain a very grievous hail, such as not been in Egypt from the day it was founded until now. Exodus 9:18. We just read that yesterday. However, there will be one like it in the time to come, when in the days of Gog and Magog, that's accurate, it is written, a torrential rain and great hailstones and fire and sulfur. It's coming down, the fire part. Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's David Stern, and you can read the verses for yourself, but he's accurate. Whoa. Okay, once again, plagues. A break. There's these narrative breaks, and then setting up for the great showdown, which is God versus, we'll call them fallen angels, but it's a big mix. And then another break, and then back into it. 7 bowls heat the earth. So especially, the sun becomes extremely hot and scorches men. Hot. So it'll go cold at first with all the debris coming in from space. And what we're doing is the physics. The physics are somehow the sun becomes extremely hot. And so that is setting up for the micronova. The actual flip seems to be the worldwide earthquake, cities collapse, 120-pound hailstones fall from the sky. That seems to be the pole flip itself. And based on 2 sources now, the physics agrees it has to be one day to get a 90-degree flip. Okay, and it's Einstein. Okay, they agree with Einstein. So just keep in mind, the bowls are going to heat the earth. So it's going to go extremely cold, then extremely hot. Okay, that's Ben Davidson talking about how things will tilt. That's why the Arctic is so critical right now. Greenland is going to be sitting on some incredible real estate, and northern Canada for that matter too. It'll be wonderful. But what we're leading up to is Isaiah 24:1, which is, and 1 through 6, a powerful declaration from the prophet Isaiah announcing that the Lord will make the earth empty, waste it, turn it upside down, and scatter its inhabitants, describing a widespread devastation and judgment affecting everyone, priests, people, masters, servants, buyers, sellers, because humanity has broken God's covenant, changing laws and violating statutes, leading to a curse upon the land where only a few are left, as the earth mourns and fades. That's Google AI's comments on this. Verse 6 is, therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. So that's Isaiah. That's basically AI working on the first part of it. But what they're getting at is, we're coming up to this, and the correct translation is, turn the earth upside down. And that's what's coming, people. Okay? Once again, Trump with Greenland was critical because Russia is going to be boxed in and they're going to be angry. Okay? And so the U.S. will have access to the whole area, which will matter as the poles wobble and then flip. So this was brilliant, and China and Russia are not permitted to enter Greenland, nor our part. And so we'll probably just push Canada out of the way and say, we're taking this over. And that's what I believe is occurring. We're just literally going to take over that area as it wobbles. And that will be some of the most incredible land on the planet as the poles wobble and flip. Okay? So this is from Ben Davidson from SO News, January 22nd, 2026. And he's talking about how the northern climates are greening. And that's interesting. But they will also burn. In the far north, wildfires are breaking old patterns. But first, the change in the northern fires is presented as oh no, global warming is causing more fires in the north. But the real reason that's silly is because the fires result from an increase in greening, increase in oxygen-producing plants. No matter how far the fires spread north, they aren't charging anywhere near as quickly as the greening, which is unequivocally a good thing. So things are greening up north, but they're going to burn. Oh yeah, things are going to burn. But it's just interesting to see as the wobble occurs, things will green and then they'll burn. Okay? Once again, Arctic fires 2002 to 2024. You can see how things are increasing in fires, but that means the greening is likewise increasing. Okay? Once again, talking about the Arctic and everything like that, it's strategic, guys. We need these bases up there because Russia's going to be angry as God pulls them across the magnetic North Pole. They will become angry, and Putin will eventually head towards France. France will do very well. Can you see France way over the right-hand side? There's Moscow, and then just below it would be France. Putin's going to want to, and it's also prophetic. Dudeman talked about it. I'm not quoting it today. I did the last 2 videos, but Dudeman quoted how Putin or whatever leader it'll be is going to head towards France. So I want you to see that again. This is how things should work out. There's Greenland right on the pole. It will be some of the best real estate on the land, on the world. Canada will be incredibly valuable, but Carney will destroy it before that. Okay, Earth will flip over at some point in time. Okay, this is from my friend Zacharias. I just talked to him earlier today. And so he's citing 2 different wobbles. Once again, the wobbles are really cool. I'll show that in the next slide, how, it's annual, which is how we flip every year with Rosh Hashanah, okay? And then also it's a 7-year flip, wobble, which is the 7 years the Shemitah, okay? But in this case, they've been wobbling and wobbling and wobbling for thousands of years, and now they're falling off the map. And this is horrific, especially more recently here. So there is no coming back from this. The only thing that happens then after this is eventually we have the pole flip. Okay? That's it, guys. There's nothing else that can occur. So you can freeze this and look at it some more, but this is the Chandler in the blue and the annual in the orange. And so the annual is interesting because it's literally it's like an atomic clock. It's right down to the millisecond, detectable by precise geodetic measurements, okay? And that as of 2015, it was about 98.3% missing. That's the annual, okay? Then the Chandler is 7 years, like a Shemitah cycle, and as of 2020, it dropped off the planet. So it's just missing, guys, and so that's what God set up with us. He drives the energy of this to keep our wobble healthy. So we're a little bit kilted, to the side, but eventually here, I'll explain it to you when we get to the end of the video. It'll be horrific, okay? It's not good going forward. Okay, so I've already stated this. The AMOC, the Atlantic, that drives warm weather for Europe, is collapsing fast. The SMOC is reversing. It'll only get worse. Only get worse. And of course, these are news reports proving it from the New York Post, and especially from Reuters, where Iceland is saying, we'll die with this. This is horrible. It's a security risk for them. One more reason for buying Greenland. Okay. So 2032, 2040 kill shot. This is Ben Davidson saying we're entering this phase where not only do the other things collapse, this collapses too. And I'm putting in where I think the 6th seal would hit and the 6th bull would. That's not the 6th bull, that's the 4th. But it'll hit at some point in time. And so whether we get to the flip by 2040 or not, it doesn't matter because things will be worse before that time frame. Horribly worse. Horribly. Okay, so this is AI answering me. This is Grok. It's funny. No, Earth's jet streams are not collapsing. The jet streams are fast-moving bands of air in the upper atmosphere, particularly the polar jet streams in each hemisphere, are undergoing changes due to climate change, but not fully collapse, meaning they would cease to exist or stop functioning entirely, is not supported by scientific evidence. The confusion stems from mixing up jet streams and Gulf Stream and Atlantic, the AMOC that I've talked about, with the ocean current system with the then jet streams. Okay, here's the problem. I know the difference between the two, Grok. What you're stating is the scientists don't agree with me, which is fine. But biblically speaking, I showed you that they're going to collapse. The jet streams are going to collapse. That's Revelation chapter 7, verses 1 through 4. Okay, now we're going to get back to Ben Davidson from 122 of 26. Earth's capacitor is discharging extra juice from the solar storm, which is normal, but it does mean chances for random reverberation storms and geomagnetically induced earthquakes, which never happen during the induction, the happy after during discharge. Weather is impacted most here, too, especially low cells. Yes, like the one hitting the U.S. this weekend, right now. okay? And I expect a deepening. And a northward shift in recent models is less certain, slightly due to known impacts of the space weather activity on the jet stream. I want you to see that last line. We know the impacts of the space weather activity on the jet stream. And for some odd reason, I don't know the physics yet, it's going to collapse the jet stream. It's just biblical. And then the picture is from Craig Stone. Cool stuff. Okay, and just stuff that's going to be happening in our future. It's not going to be pretty. Okay, so this is my work with Ben. There are 6,000-year cycles, but there's a multiplier every 12,000 years. Then Earth's magnetosphere begins thinning, radiation issues increase, Chandler and annual wobble collapse, poles wobble and jerk more, AMOC, SMOC collapse, poles melt, causing colder conditions, earthquakes and volcanoes increase activities, rogue jet streams, extreme weather and shifts increase worldwide, rogue lightning. Once again, there's these cycles, but eventually the galactic magnetic dust sheet comes and it accretes on our solar system. It's biblical. And that's especially the fourth trumpet. The sun accretion causes a yellow to white to red to black metamorphosis until micronova. Core mantle decouple, poles flip 90 degrees in one day due to ice weight. Humanity is reduced by about 90%. Okay, Ben Davidson again. Solar ozone deconstruction, solar forcing of heat, solar forcing of precipitation, solar forcing of wind, solar forcing of lightning. These things will happen more as we move into the bowls, okay? But at some point in time, they will cease for just a short period of time. But they're being amplified now because Earth's field is weakening and it's just going to force so much more in. You can pause it and read it for yourself, but that's from Ben from a few years ago. So once again, Ben Davidson, Space Weather News. This is intriguing because he was friends with Michael Steinbacher before he died. And so he was dying in 2015. Michael let me read a letter from Einstein to Velikovsky, okay? Einstein was highly frustrated by a conclusion he could not disprove, but he also could not understand. The Earth turns over. It happens in one day. No evidence Einstein looked at the sun or Earth's magnetic field. I suspect Einstein did this with others. Excuse me, I have a cold. So Ben was privy to Einstein's talks with Velikovsky, and there were letters back and forth because they truly believed that the Earth would flip over, and it will in one day. Okay, Zacharias on the left-hand side, Zacharias Pro, you should follow him on X. Once again, significant deviation of the geographic pole. Yeah, we're starting to see more deviation right now as we head into 2026. It's not looking pretty, okay? Just not looking pretty at all. So we're collapsing, people. Okay, and this is Ben's chance to be a little bit melancholy and be a good little Christian. So people are attacking him and saying, "No, silly Christian, that's how the universe came to be. You see, there was nothing, and then, for no reason at all, there was light, and all things were created instantly out of nothing." And they want Ben to believe that. That's stupid, okay? The actual position of mainstream science. The sun rotates 28 days. The moon's orbit is about the same time frame, okay? The sun and the moon control the critical hormones of humans. Oh, yeah. There are lunar cycles, people. Lunatics, too. These are also perfect size and distance to have perfect eclipse. So, 400 this, 400 that for the sun and the moon to be able to eclipse each other. It's really cool. So the Fibonacci spiral, the scalability of physical reality, even the Jewish star, I agree. It's really cool. All code of engineering, perfect engineering. It signs its own name on every molecule of the cosmos, and it does. There's more complexity as we dig into things and get, out into space or into the not our molecules, but our DNA, RNA. I know subatomically tiny and cosmologically vast, and the rules that govern their dynamics. I see no evidence of randomness, chaos, collisions, or gravity having much of a say in the realm before us today. I see controlled motion of design, like I mentioned with the wobbles. These are controlled motion of design, and now they're dropping off. Geometry and harmonics and cycles and resonance, vibration. One of those cycles is coming to an end. Many of those cycles are coming to an end. This is from Zacharias again. Great guy. He's showing how we've gone through these phases before. We're coming into it right now. We're about ready to just drop, and the bottom will drop out. Okay, we have minimums, we have maximums. It's just, that's how the Earth works. So this is Zacharias. This is his workflow. I just got this today. This is so cool. An important clarification: we're not waiting to lose periodic wobble. It's already 98.3% missing. And based on what we're observing, it's a highly punctuated movement rather than a gradual decline. So you will see the jerks and things will slip faster. It will not be gradual. The pole moves in pulses synchronized with lunisolar torque minima. So there's a torque situation going on. It's kind of like when you put your foot down to the floor and torque your engine to drive your tires, okay? So drive your wheels. The sequence is unfolding like this. Wobble extinction, already there basically. Loss of oscillatory restoring forces. Yeah, we're not coming back. Directional forcing towards 75 degrees west becomes dominant, so that's where we're going to go, okay? That's good for Western society. Each successive torque null equals an opportunity for further displacement, cumulative drift toward new equilibrium position. Yeah. This is what the 2 TPW looks like at onset. It's a systematic forcing toward a new equilibrium as the old stability mechanism collapses. The decay has taken years, really 5+ years. I showed you 2015 for one of the wobbles, but mostly 2020, where they synced up and dropped below that point where they don't come back. So the escape phase takes weeks or months to successive ratchets on polar motion push it towards a threshold. As many of us know, the flip itself, once committed, is approximately 1 day. Einstein, Velikovsky, Ben Davidson, Zacharias, approximately 1 day. We are waiting for nothing other than the transitional threshold between phases. Wow. I want you to see this because we have the crazy things going on in Minnesota. Did God cause the cold weather to freeze the extremely narcissistic and neurotic protesters? They're like demons up here in Minnesota. It's sad. It's very, very sad. Where are we in? We're in the birth pangs. We are really close to the 6th seal and the 7th seal. We're seeing the workflow now. We can actually see the workflow to get to the tribulation and then the great tribulation. We're seeing the cosmic collapses. You need to get married on a Rosh Hashanah, a Yom Kippur, a Sukkot coming up. What garments will you wear? It's a wedding. You can't be naked. Get some clean clothes. Do something for God. Thank you very much for your time. God bless you. I will have another video tonight with Chris. Chris is going to be talking about his book, which is the same stuff that I just discussed here, but he'll do it in more of his format. So that'll be Sunday evening. God bless. Thank you.